John de St. Jourre is a British-born author who first made his name as a foreign correspondent for The Observer, and he's also the author of many distinguished works of nonfiction. He first came to DEYA in 1961 and made a home here for 4 decades. And Gloria Fein will read some of his work for us.
En John de St. Jourre és un escriptor nascut a Gran Bretanya que va començar a ser conegut com a corresponsal estranger per a l'Observer. També és l'autor de bastants treballs de no-ficció distinguits. Va venir a DEA la primera vegada en l'any 1961 i va mantenir una casa aquí durant 4 dècades. La Gloria Fein serà la seva lectora.
A village in New York City sent its own contingent to its Spanish counterpart. Among them were Joanne Vance, a former model, Annie Truxell, a painter, and Ralph Jacobs, a schoolteacher. Hipsters and heavy drinkers all. They brought the American counterculture with them. Sharp, witty conversation, jazz, and Greenwich Village gossip. Bert and Vida, an inseparable American couple, were also in residence. Vida was tall and regal-looking, while Bert was much smaller, and when they walked together, his head would stick slightly at an angle to her shoulder. The Mallorquins had a collective name for them, La Una y Media, 1:30. From London came June Kramer, a spiky-haired 30-something teeny bopper with a Midlands accent. She had yet to acquire her self-inspired noble title and was known to everybody simply as June. Mason Hoffenberg, poet, writer, and co-author with Terry Southern of the hilarious sexual satire Candy, came down from Paris. Every day, he would set himself up on the terrace bar and struggle with a new novel. He had got as far as the opening couple of sentences when he encountered the mother of all writer's blocks. The opening lines went something like this. Cyrus B. Finkelberger was in his office dictating a letter to his secretary when a klaxon sounded in the street below. Finkelberg looked up. "What the hell's a klaxon?" he said. Mason never did write the novel, but he came up with plenty of good one-liners. Paul Crotto, an American painter, and his Swedish wife Karine were also summer regulars from Paris, where they lived. Paul had grown up in Brooklyn, but lived in France for 20 years or more. He may have left Brooklyn, but Brooklyn hadn't left him. Coffee was always coffee. Later, much later, we discovered we had a strange bond. Both our mothers had disappeared when we were small children, and both were refound decades later in similar circumstances. Winters, it is said, could change a person, especially if the individual was living alone. Local lore has it that long-term residence in DEYA required 2 conditions, a partner and a project. Otherwise, the places would drive you mad. Gertrude Stein was right when she advised Robert Graves to go to Mallorca in the late 1920s, but also warned him of the hazards. Paradise was not for everyone. Many people came and left, some seriously antagonistic, others simply not impressed and dismissive. When my family and I came to live in the village in 1989, my young daughter, Jenna, was among the gainsayers, though she thinks differently now. She was unhappy and missed her friends and her American school, especially the yellow bus. "When are we going back to Connecticut, Daddy?" she would ask. "But Jen, it's paradise here." "I hate paradise." And now I'll end with his epilogue. Contrary to the popular belief that if you remember the 1960s, you weren't there. I do remember them, and I was there. I remember them because those years were my youth, and some of the most wonderful events, impressions, and relationships come from my time in DEYA. There may be no metal in these limestone mountains, but there is a form of magnetism that draws me back and holds me close.
Our next but last reader is Susie Robinson, who has lived in DEYA since the late 60s, and she's going to read 3 poems about DEYA.
I'm a walker, a midnight talker. I'm a girl in a whirl looking for the pearl in the unsuspecting oyster. I'm a sad one and yet an infinitely glad one. I'm a breezer, a teaser. I'm a hard-to-pleaser. I'm a good girl, a bad girl. It isn't so-so sad girl. I'm a zoomer, a one-time roomer. I'm a gypsy when I'm tipsy. When all the words fall down, I'm up. I'm a researcher, a searcher. I won't compromise with the prize. I'm a dreamer, a crazy schemer. Mad about your navy blue eyes. Dole out in measured portions the love you have in you, so none feel too neglected, thinking more perhaps they're due. Assume a sort of innocence and move with charming grace about the contours of she who seeks your face. And when you move to loving, she you call a friend, then crush with cold abandon, leave not a trace of what you have engendered, then consciously erased. And kindly, oh so kindly, cauterize and shun a sapling growth of loving by you that was begun. Are you then a coward or a man of marble stone, vacillating solitary, yet cannot live alone? I wrote this poem in Canaloon just before Robert died. I was looking after him with some other nurses, and one night when he was sleeping, I wrote this. The stillness astounds me. Cut to the quick, a motorbike goes by. The flowers exude such colors, silent upon the table. A cat stalks by, intent on distant musings, heard only by she, in the house which is hers. I watch the glass half full, placed there and left. Am aware of some strange solitude that irks and makes it hard to sleep. And Robert, coughing quietly, all tangled up in bed.